Welcome to the Personal Development Mastery Podcast. I am 𝗁𝗂𝗆 and my mission is to inspire you to rise up, grow, stand out and take action towards the next level of your life. I am interviewing leaders, influencers, entrepreneurs, authors, exceptional people who can and will inspire you to improve your life. Tune in for 2 episodes each week, every Monday and Thursday. In today's show, it is my real delight to speak with 𝗃 J, you were born in Colombia in South America and you're now a UK citizen. You are a chartered civil engineer and a property investment mentor and trainer. As a non-English speaker foreigner who needed a visa to come to the UK, you realized that obstacles were not an impediment for you to grow, to learn, to get a master's degree, start a business, invest and build a property empire. You found what you call your satori moment after being employed in the corporate world for over a decade, and that started what you call your metamorphosis. Your passion is improving lives through building and development and helping others to become their own personal legends. J, welcome to Personal Development Mastery. It's my real pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm forever grateful for you to giving me the opportunity to share my message with your audience. So thanks ever so much.
Jay, you're very welcome. I will share with you and the listener who may not have heard that before, that I have the intention during my podcasting to connect and interview people who have influenced me during my own personal journey and have in one or different capacity. So you were for a brief period of time my mentor. So it's fascinating, you know, to come back and from a different point of view now to ask you some questions. And actually, I want to start with your journey, because I had the opportunity to read your story, and there are some really fascinating elements that I found there. There are a few in particular which I will ask you about, but if I were to ask you which key defining moment, which milestone would you pick that you think had made the biggest impact in your journey, in your life? Which one would you share?
Right. Okay. There's several actually.
I know that.
So I think to make it more, let's say, probably relevant to my present life, it wouldn't be the time when I decided to switch my mindset from an employee, being in the rat race, to a business owner. That moment for me was critical and has impacted my life, the life of my families, the life of the people that I love, and so many people that I trained. So I think that was the moment, I think, where I had this, like, as you were reading earlier, my satori moment. I don't know whether you're familiar with that, what satori means. And for the audience, for you listeners, if I might explain this, is
absolutely
basically when you actually, for me, it was a book. When I was reading this book, I was immediately thinking about my past, my present, and my future. So all in one. So I saw it there when I was reading this, and I thought to myself, my God, what have we been doing for the last 20 odd years with my life? This is the time now for me to change, to take action and to move on into something different. So I think when I read that book, and I decided to do this, to change my mindset more or less instantly, then that was critical for me in my life.
And the book was Rich Dad Poor Dad, wasn't it?
Correct. Yeah, that was it. And it's funny story. You know what, Agi? And how it started, how I got my hands on that book was very funny. You probably know this. I'm quite sporty. A lot of sport is one of my passions. And one day I was running. It was Christmas. It was almost during Christmas, before Christmas time. I used to live down in West Byfleet. I was employed by a company called 𝗵𝗆. I was working towards my chartership at the time. And I used to run in the evenings, and I was running in one direction, and I saw this guy running in the opposite direction. And you know what? One of those things in life that you think, oh, why can't I just go and say hello to this guy? Maybe we run together. Yeah. I'll sometimes I like that. And I went on and said, look, I'm Jay, I run around this. Do you mind if I run with you and have a chat? And it was like, yeah, absolutely. So the guy was very friendly, and we started running together, and we chatted more or less immediately afterwards. He dropped the conversation. What do you do for a living? And he started talking about rat race and stuff. And at the beginning, I was like, what's this about? And then at the end of the run, he said, you need to read this. Okay. Promise, it will help you to understand what we just discussed during the run, because I was a little bit confused and everything he was asking me. And then I read the book, and honestly, I couldn't put it down. I read it in probably about 2 days max, because I'm an avid reader. And honestly, when I saw this, I gave it to my now wife, and I said, look, she's quite academic. She was doing actually a PhD at the time. So you need to read this. And both came to the conclusion that we were claiming the wrong ladder, right? And we had to more or less start again. And that was it. And, so I started in my head, I started thinking, what can I do different? What can I get my hands on that, allows me to be out of the rat race and be in a different quadrant, being the business owner or an investor. And that was it. That's when I started with my property sort of metamorphosis as such. Then, several years ago. So then I started, I continue with my profession, because I'm very passionate. I was very passionate about what I was doing about, civil engineering is infrastructure. I was thinking on the end product, but at the end of the day, you're fulfilling someone else's dream, is the company owner's dreams. And I was doing it passionately, but I also thought, well, what can I do something that allows me to do my work, fulfill my passion at the time, get chartered, because I wanted to get chartered, and do something else. And that was it. Property was one of them. So my wife and I decided to go and full on and on it. I'm kind of action taker, and we did a course on how to buy HMOs, how to manage HMOs. And immediately after the course, we took action and started buying properties. We bought a few, 100% mortgages. And this is the funny thing, Aggie, it's who you surround yourself with, right? At the time, I was surrounded with obviously colleagues and stuff, and they were saying, are you mad? What are you doing? What happens if property goes down in value? And I was like, well, look, do you know what? My strategy is long term, and I knew what I wanted, hence the name Assets for Life. And, even though the property went down in value, right after we bought it, because I 100% mortgages, you recall that, went down in value for a while, but I had a good strategy. It was a HMO strategy at the time, multi-let, so I had a strong cash flow. Then we kept those units, and now, they're more or less double in value, and I benefit from all that cash flow, and it's been, great. So that's one of the things that made me realize, well, I'm doing the wrong thing, which is with my life, and decided to go full time later.
If there is one book that has been mentioned the most in my interviews for the podcast in terms of transformation or changing direction, is the Rich Dad Poor Dad. I mean, I remember a guy told me that he was in the university while he was reading it, and he dropped out of university the next day. It had
Wow.
such a big impact on him. So, Jay, I will discuss about your metamorphosis and other things about investing, finances, and things like that. But I want to go back before we discuss that. Yeah. So you have a fascinating story, which I was telling you before we started recording, that someone who meets you doesn't necessarily consider that where you started from. Because you see, they see you, and that happened with me when I met you. I mean, you see a successful person. You never think that, you started coming to this country at a very young age, barely speaking English and working in McDonald's, and you saying things like that, and trying to learn the language because it was your goal. Can you tell me a bit about that drive that you had when you left Colombia and moved to the UK? What was the reason? Why did you do that?
Yeah, really good question. But initially, as anything, I wanted to be a better engineer. When I finished my BSc, I wanted to learn a new language, first of all, and also be a better engineer. So my initial goal was to move to the UK, learn the language, travel a little bit for about 6 months, and then go back. Actually, I had a scholarship in America to do an MSc in America, and then go back from America back to Colombia and set up my own business. That was my kind of goal, set up my own practice or work for a big company. That was my goal. But once I arrived to the UK, I was completely in love with this tropical island, I call it the Isla Bonita, like Madonna. So, it was funny.
I didn't realize he was talking about the UK.
Yeah. So I came over here, and you know what? It was fascinating for me to be able to travel, to meet so many people, different cultures, so many languages and stuff. So what I decided to do, rather than going back to the States, I thought, you know what? I want to come back here, get a job here. Okay. Even though all of my friends back in Colombia say, you're mad, you're not going to get a job in the UK. And I said, wait. So what I decided to do, so I learned English. It was really funny, I had a goal. I always have big goals. I wanted to do it within 6 months. And I had a target of learning words every single day. It was 50 words a day, spelling, how to pronounce them and all this stuff, and be fluent within a couple of months. But then after 2 months, I wasn't getting there. I was thinking in my head, I was translating everything. Okay, so I was quite slow while I was speaking, and I was so frustrated. And I was like, "What the hell is going on? What can I learn? What's happening here?" So, as anything, when you relax and you stand back and think, "Okay, what's going on here? How can I make this a fun thing to do?" And in my head, I was thinking, okay, everyone is in this country wants to help me learn. Okay, so if I have to go to the shop and ask for milk, they're gonna help me, and I'm gonna smile, and they're gonna just smile back at me. So that was the first thing. And the second thing I used to be able to be fluent in my time frame, which was 3 months, was to everything that I was doing, physically doing and I was doing it in my head. So when I used to wake up, I used to just wake up and say, okay, I take in my pajamas off, then put in my socks on, all like in my head, right? I'm taking a shower, that sort of stuff. And you know what? It was like this. After I started doing that simple thing with just relaxing, also thinking everything in my head, I was not translating. And that was like, wow, I can't believe I could do this. And I can just have a chat with someone without translating in my head and understanding. So, that was kind of how can I approach it? And it was great to be able to do that. to be able to communicate fluently, and to be able to obviously continue with my path. And I obviously wanted to get the all the exams done as well to be able to get access to the university here. So I did a TOEFL just before we left. I went back to Colombia. I worked there for a year doing some infrastructure, saved a little bit of money, and came back to the UK in 2003 when I started my MSc. So yeah, it was one of those moments as well when I got back that you think, okay, what do I do now? I came back and started working. I was working actually full time. I was doing actually McDonald's is the posh one. I was doing I was doing paper round deliveries at 4:00. Then I was doing also housekeeping for hotels. I used to live in Brighton myself. That's what I picked, Brighton. I was doing also pizza deliveries in the evenings, and I was doing McDonald's, more or less closing the restaurant very late. So I was working full time, and I was doing the MSc full time. And then honestly, that year, I remember vividly this, right? I used to put my feet in cold water just to stay awake, during the exams. So I didn't sleep much, and I didn't have time to sleep, to be honest. But if I looking back, you think, wow, that makes me who I am, and I'm proud of it. So it was great.
Absolutely. There is one observation that came to mind, Jay, when you said the La Isla Bonita, and you mentioned somewhere about the sunny Brighton. And, in a way, I have been in the UK for almost 11 years now. So being from Greece, which is a sunny country which, I would say, better weather than England. Not once, all the years that I have been here, did I focus on what I don't like about the country. For example, I don't talk about the weather, or that the saying that I missed the food, the Greek food and things like that. And I see from you now that you also focus, I think that is a characteristic of people that move to a different environment, that they focus on what they like about that place. And I've seen, and I'm sure you've seen other people as well, yourself, that focus on what they don't like. And that is, it doesn't really make things good. Absolutely. And yeah, tell me what your thoughts are on that, because I think it's a very distinctive thing in the way one thinks and the way one attracts the things that they like or the things that they don't like, just by focusing on that particular element.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you. It's just like, it's bad enough with our subconscious mind that is telling us all the time off. You can do this, you can do that, and all this stuff. But I mean, what I've been doing, I think, ever since I started reading and stuff, as you clearly pointed out there, focusing on the positive side, looking at all the obstacles in a different way and reframing them as part of my journey, and actually being grateful for them. So that the Stoic philosophy is best. And I think that is a powerful, really powerful tool for people, to just, rather than just complaining about everything, just think of the bright side. There is always a bright side. And I read this very interesting book a while ago. I recommend it to you read it. It's called Obstacle is Their Way by Ryan Holloway. And there was some examples in here that were absolutely stunning. This the example when you, and this is one of the best ones, that are analogies and the metaphors. They say, look, when you go out for and you're training, let's say, for a marathon or something like that, and then you go out running, and then you go all these wind against you, and then also starts raining. Majority of the people will say, oh, I don't want to wear the wind, complaints and stuff. You should be grateful for it. And the simple reason being is that because guess what? The next day when you're gonna go out and you're not gonna have the wind against you, you don't have the rain, you're gonna be faster, right? So I can't try to practice that philosophy with everything that I do, and I work at a different level. I think it's so clever, and I try to do it, reframe it. I must say, Aggie, that it is easier said than done, right?
It's a constant process. Yes, yeah. It's not like you learning it, then it's automatic. You have to every single day to work on it. Yeah,
and you got to work on reminding yourself, that rather than curse it, be grateful for it, right? Embrace it and love it, because the obstacles, the things that the life throws at you make you stronger and make you wiser. And then you also can hand it back. I mean, the typical example recently is when we lost a planning application to get 2 extra penthouses in a project that we're finishing now in Loughton. I was cross as hell. I was in my head, the first thing, I can't believe this. We need houses, especially affordable. I'm passionate about affordable homes, right? And these people say no to us, even though there were a lot of all the penthouses in the route and all this stuff. And then my business partner came to me and said, "What we do now, Jay?" I say, "Obstacle is the way, my friend. We're gonna get this. We're gonna go for an appeal, and once we get that appeal, we're gonna be able to teach others how to be successful at appeals." And that was it, and we got it. So I think when you have that in your set of tools, I'd say, is a really powerful tool.
Thank you. And I know you talk about the challenges, the resilience, consistency, all these things which are foundations, I believe, to someone's success. I wanted to ask you about some elements of mindset, because you say that you had a mindset switch or a mindset shift at some point. So do you want to explain that to me?
Sure. Okay. So basically, initially, when before I restart put that, I had clearly the mindset of go to university, and get a good job.
Okay.
And climb the corporate ladder. That was my mindset. All I wanted to do was the manager of the manager. When I finished, initially, I needed to do it that way anyway, because I was obviously a foreigner. I'm British citizen now, but then I had to get a work permit, to stay in this country. So I had no choice at the time, unless obviously you bring a lot of money to the country and they give you a sort of a special visa. I didn't have that then, so I had to do it that way. So I got a job with a corporate company, and once I got the job, I was kind of relieved, because I was able to pay for my fees. That was the other thing as well. When I got the 5 job offers, it wasn't 5 job offers. They didn't come for magic. When I got my first job, I've sent about 30,000 CVs. I had a target.
30,000.
Yeah, yeah, man. It was a numbers game. And then, I got 5 interviews, and I would go all the jobs. It was one of my fabulous days in life. When I got it, I was able to pay for my fees, or university fees and stuff. But yeah, so I had this, when I finished uni, I was like, I'm going to get a job, a really good company that's going to support me to get my chartership as well. And obviously do all the paperwork to get me a visa and all that. So I've got that. And once I started working, I wanted to be the manager of the manager. That was it. Until obviously I read this book, and then it was like, all right, so if you continue this way, you're gonna get stuck. You're not gonna go any further. So I think I got a little sort of phrase, and it goes: self-reflection orbits around self-development. Okay, and it should be always like that. Reflection should always be about self-development. So it orbits around self-development. So I started reading. So when I read that book, opened my mind to so many other self-development books. And then after reached that book, that I went to 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, and he talks about the ladder. That was the thing when he said, look, sometimes you lean the ladder against the wrong wall. That was my ladder was. My ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. I wanted in the corporate money. I wanted to get out of it and do something else. So, and for me, it was critical, to just open my eyes, look at the future, look once again back to the satori moment, and I see where I want to be. Where do I want to be? And when I had that realization that I wanted to be in a different place, when I had that realization that I wanted to do more stuff, I won't be able to actually, at the end of the day, to start with, it's about buying time, isn't it? Your most precious asset. You never get it back. I was able to do so many things. So I think, okay, I'm going to have to switch. I'm going to have to stop doing this. I'm going to have to go full on, okay, and take a leap of faith. And the thing is, in my head, I was obviously, I'm going to try. And if I don't succeed, fair enough. I'm going to have to deal with it later. But that was it. I went full on, and thank God for that. My wife was a great support. It's also who you surround yourself with. And she said to me once also, before I make the jump, she said, do you know what, Jay, you're better than that. And he gave me all this tremendous support. And I just decided to boom, no more. This is the thing, Aggie. There's another concept that I learned in a book as well a while ago. It's called safety net. When you have a safety net, you're kind of constrained in a way. So I decided to cut my safety net because, look, when I quit my job 5 years ago, decided to stop doing what I was doing full on, it was the monkey over my shoulder. You're not good enough, Jay. You can't, you're never gonna get where you want to be, and all this stuff, all this BS, right? That we believe of subconscious is programmed to do that. So I have to reprogram my subconscious, and is all or nada, right? Binary, okay, and go full on. So that's what I did. So when you get rid of your safety net, sometimes that makes you just going even more for it. And the best analogy sometimes that I can tell you about that is like I say to you, Aggie, go run a London Marathon tomorrow. And you say, Jay, what are you talking about? I haven't trained for it. But I say, Aggie, your life depends on it. You go and do it, right?
Yep.
So that's exactly what I did. And I'm not suggesting to you or to your listeners, that go on to quit your job right away without a plan. The best thing I can suggest to you listeners or the people that want to do this mindset, and also you take action and do it, go full on into entrepreneurship, is have what is called like a plan B. So what I said, a plan B, it's just maybe save for a year and for all your expenses for a year, and then at least you have that that cushion there. If it doesn't happen, obviously you got enough money to survive, because some people will just go nuts and then just quit their job and then they have no income and they can't survive. Cash flow is key. But luckily at the time also, that when I made the career switch, I had several properties as well that was cash flowing, and that gave me a cushion as well. So that helped me with my transition as such from full time for my job into entrepreneurship as well, and going full on in property.
Yeah, I agree with that safety net, the concept you say. It's like the other phrase that comes to mind is burn the boats, so that you can't go back. Because when you have things like that, you tend to easily go back. Or if you get discouraged by the challenges that you face, you go back to your safety net or your boat and go back. But so if you don't have that, you are forced to move forward.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me, Jay, in terms of mindset, how important do you think is the having an abundance mindset in all of that? And if you want to give me your definition as well, what do you understand if I tell you abundance mindset? How do you understand it?
Sure, absolutely. Abundance mindset is mega important, actually. And you know, the more you have, the more you should give. That is also quite related to it. So, and this is, I come across this a lot, this question a lot, and people tell me, especially what I'm doing right now, Jay, why do you want to share all your secrets? Why do you want to do that? You got more competition. And I'm just laugh and say, okay, fair point. But this is the thing, you know, there's so many millions of houses out there, my friend. Okay, there is room for all in here in this business. And, you know, also knowledge, this thing that we can give you now is like love. You know, love is not an investment as such. This is the thing. The more you give, you know, the more you have. Isn't it? At the end of the day, if you think about this, okay, and it's like humor. It's similar to humor as well. The more you give, the more you have. So, I'll say, look, I love sharing my secrets because I'm pretty sure that at some point it's going to change your life for the better, and you're going to change the life of others. Okay, so we're spreading the kiloliters here, you know. And that's it, you know. And at some point, if you like me, if we like each other, we're gonna do business together, you know. And you create you know, you get good, you create relationships throughout of it. You can do joint venturing in property as well. You haven't got so many hours in a day and so much money to invest anyway. The more people that are supporting your cause, the more people that are kind of in the same frequency as you, there's a potential business partner too, you know. So that's why we do what we do in Assets for Life. You know, we educate people, we give them all this knowledge, okay, for them to go and do it themselves, or for them to come and work with us. And then you are stronger as a team. You always work as a team. So that has always been like kind of my mindset or my attitude about abundance. And the opposite is scarcity. You know, is for me is narrow-minded. You know, with that mindset, people usually are very grumpy. But what happens is, I get that because we are who we are, we kind of attract the right people sometimes. And the thing is, I see this also like in a really good analogy. You know, the minute I know that someone has got this narrow mindset, doesn't share my values and principles, I immediately stop spending time with them. And what I do consciously is focusing on those really good relationships. All my horses. This is a beautiful analogy. I don't know whether you heard this or not, Aggie, about this, which is, it goes like, life is like a couch propelled by horses, okay? And you typically in your life, if you think there's not many relationships that you can actually, meaningful relationship that you can build. I wrote this in another book. It's probably only around 120, average is 120, 150 throughout all your life.
Okay.
But typically in, it's about 5 people in your life. If you look at who you spend most of your time with. And those 5 people, they call it horses that propel you forward, okay? So if you pick your horses right, that propel you forward, you walk at a different pace, you know, at a different level. But if one of the horses is a neggy horse, you know, is care mentity, is care mindset horse, you know, and all this stuff. The thing is, if you listen to that horse, all right, if you allow that horse to propel you, you're actually losing two, right? Because you're carrying that weight or that horse. So you only left three. So what I'm trying to do with that sort of mindset, the people that share that mindset, is just don't spend time with them and focus on the good horses that propel you forward.
Absolutely. And you reminded me of something I read in your story, that you realized as a teenager that you are happy when you are not inside yourself, when you're not selfish, when you give. And this scarcity and being afraid of the competition and sharing secrets, it's all part of getting closed up to yourself, getting more defensive, and not sharing, not giving, which is really what makes life meaningful.
Absolutely.
And happy.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
This is amazing. Thank you. I want to discuss something slightly different, even though it's not. You are writing a book, and you have put the title "Metamorphosis" in the book, which I'm sure you know that it's a Greek word, metamorphosis. So, and you already mentioned the word a couple of times. So, can you tell me what is the meaning of it for you? Why did you call it like that? And why did you decide to write it?
Yeah, no, good. Yeah. So first, let's start with the reason that I wrote that book. So for me, is a legacy to the world. You know, it has taken me hours and hours waking up at 4:00, going to Spain to study. I started in Spain about a year and a half ago, going because I had this sort of a dream. I'd always been able to write something meaningful that would change and help people's lives. And it was about that satori moment that I was telling you about. When I read that, and I was like, wow, this is great. I want to be able to do something similar in some shape or form. So I consciously decided to write something. Initially, it was a couple of years ago, but the monkey on my shoulder was telling me, you're not good enough. You got no much to say that, to the audience, all this stuff. So, but then last year I thought, enough is enough. I have to do it. So I wanted to write something that when people will read this, obviously think about what they're doing with their lives and think about the future and see property as a way forward, because it actually has changed my life and there are so many people that we trained. So when they read that book and think, God, if this guy could do it, a foreigner that came with nothing, with just a bag full of dreams to the UK, I can do this stuff. So I wanted to do that. And obviously I want my kids to be proud of me. So I wrote that book dedicated to my three little monkeys and my dear wife. But then also to all the family that have been supporting me as well, throughout the writing of the book. Because I wanted to give something to them that wasn't there available to them, right? So there's nothing in there. If you look at all the property books that have this combination of mindset switch, so I explain step by step how to do that, and then it gives you tools as well on how to invest in property. So it's an amalgamation of the two, and this is what actually the catalyst for me of my metamorphosis. It was my transformation. So then to your second question now, so how do I arrive to the name? So I did what my mentor told me to do. So my mentor said to me, Jay, you want to ask your audience, what they want, give them some options with names and stuff, and then they'll come back to you and I'll help you with choosing the name, because it's tricky to pick a name, And I give the audience options, there's 5 different titles, and there's sort of a tag, and they all voted on it. And then I went for one that I wasn't sure about, but I love meditation. And after meditation, I thought, right, there needs to be 2 words that are powerful enough, and it's got to have property, because that's how I did it. But it's got to be, or another powerful one. And honestly, after the meditation one day, I was like, this is it. How do a caterpillar get into a beautiful butterfly? It's a metamorphosis.
Okay.
So it's got to be it. So I think, and it's also what we do with our projects is, you buy something that needs a lot of work. And, Aggie, when you discussing this, the smellier, the better, when you buy properties. And then you just convert them into these beautiful butterflies. And it's similar to, obviously, pieces, when you buy an office that converted into flats are going to be for families. They're going to, they're going to be able to live there, those sort of things. So it's quite, I think it's quite powerful and quite a strong name. And I'm quite happy with it, because it's like, well, you go now, you got all this information, go and start your own property metamorphosis now, and change your life for the better and the people around you as well. So, yeah.
It's certainly a very intriguing and unusual name and word as well. So looking forward for you when you launch the book. I know you told me it's quite soon.
It's very soon. I think we got a date for it. So can I share it with the audience, hopefully? It's the 17th, I think, 17th of November.
Oh, right. Okay. Awesome.
So we're almost there.
Fantastic.
And actually, what I decided to do, this is the beauty of technology as well. I have another mentor that we hired recently, and he works with artificial intelligence. And he was saying that he gave me an idea of doing for us a sort of what is an interactive PDF. An interactive PDF is obviously, got some text, and then you also have some videos in the PDF. And I thought to myself, that sounds good. I could do a full book on it. And it was like, why not? So what I decided to do lately, that's why it's taken me a little bit longer to publish the book as well, is to add on every single charter or the majority of the charters a link to a video that is related to it. Because in AFL, in Access for Life, we teach what we actually do kinesthetically. So so all the examples that I use in my book, I had a link to my profile in Instagram, or I got a YouTube channel as well. I linked to it, so the people, the readers can go like, okay, I read that. Okay, I'm just gonna follow the link and then see it in the video as well. So there's nothing out there like that yet. So yeah, it's the beauty of technology nowadays.
Absolutely, and it's much more interactive experience rather than just reading the book.
Yeah.
You brought a question now to mind when you were saying about the education about property and property as a means to improve your life, create income, and so on. My question is, I'm sure you've seen lots of people who have made it in property, and you have seen probably more people that do the education, they want to do it, but they never do anything with the property. So what do you think is the key difference between those two kind of people, the ones that go out there and make it, and the ones that get enthusiastic and excited and pay lots of money to educate themselves, but they never do something with it?
Yeah, that's a really good, powerful question, actually, and it's frustrating at the same time. I think commitment is what separates dreams from reality. Okay, the people that committed, the people that don't give up, okay, those are the ones that made it. And at the end of the day, you have the same tools, right? You get the same knowledge. That's what we do. One of the events is called the Property Millionaires Boot Camp. It's a 3-day full-on event that we teach everything that more or less we have learned. Once you have those powerful tools, if you don't spend the time applying them and they give up at the first obstacle, they don't reframe it as part of their journey, they dropped. And it's so sad to see, So honestly, it's purely commitment. Is like being like relentless at it, being obsessed with this stuff. I'm not passionate about property. I'm obsessed with this stuff. And that's how you need to be to succeed, in my view. So it's sad to see that people, learn this stuff and they try here about halfway and then just give up and then start something else again. It's so frustrating. But I guess you cannot really cannot really teach commitment, can you? You kind of you can bring the horse to what's the saying, to water, you know what I mean? But
you
can
can't make him drink. Yeah,
you can make him drink, and it's sad. But the people that are actually committed, the people that actually go for it, the people that are actually coachable as well. Because one thing is being coachable, right? Because being coachable, you need to be in some sort of way humble and take advice, take perspective of someone else, and listen and follow up is so mega important. When I started my first mentorship, I would go and honestly, I'd be hunting and being, I couldn't, I was constantly breathing down my mentor's neck all the time, asking me questions. What book do I read next? I finished this. What do you recommend next? And if he recommended me to read a book, I went read that book, and I probably email the author and ask him even more questions. That's how it should be. That's how you should be doing this sort of stuff. Being hungry for it. If that makes sense, Aggie.
It certainly does. I will continue on this thing that you just were explaining now. So, in terms of mentors, coaches, being mentored, being coached, I know and you know the tremendous importance of it. I want you to tell me a little bit about your experience or progress with being mentored or coached. And I also want to your advice or your thoughts really on people who are, maybe on the verge, on sitting on the fence. They're not convinced that paying money to have a coach or a mentor in any area of their life. I'm not talking about property or anything, but any kind of mentorship, that they're not convinced that it's worth it. So what are your thoughts on this?
Oh my God. Yeah, no, mentorship is absolutely everything. If you think about this way, the minute that you're born, you have your mom and dad. Those are your best ones to start with. I was lucky enough to have that role model. Both of them they really worked really hard. And they taught me so many values and principles. That's how I started, luckily, my life. But then afterwards it's as simple as this, right? If you wanna get from A to B in the less possible time, okay, that you don't get back, what you need to do is hire a mentor. Every high performance athlete out there has got a mentor, okay, and in any aspects, I get mentors. Like, for give you just a simple idea, for when I was doing, we do a lot of charity. We try to do at least one charity event a year. We were doing something that I didn't like, actually. It was swimming. It was suggested with someone else. And I'm terrible at swimming. And I started, and I thought, I need to go and hire someone else. But once I listened to what she's got to say, someone really passionate.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go into it in a minute, just to give you some pointers of people how they should, in my opinion, how they should pick their mentors. She was so passionate about swimming. She said, Jay, you need to correct this, and this, and that. There were very simple things, like minor stuff that I was actually not even aware of, but created a huge difference, massive difference. So at the end of the lessons that I had with this lady, I was completely in flow, like swimming. I was actually enjoying it. Not for the, let alone the big goal, which is obviously help a family in need, build a house for them, and but then myself, as in physically as well, I was stronger, I was faster, and so on and so forth. And that's only one. Mentors give you all these hacks that been there before. So, the thing is, I think the key aspects to consider when you hire a mentor, I mean, it's obvious that, we need a mentor for everything, right? You want to, depending on what you're doing, whatever, you want to learn things faster, you gotta go and ask someone else that's ahead of you. So one thing is, make sure that they are ahead of you, wherever you want to be. So obviously in property, we pick guys that were ahead of us when we started, and the second most important vital thing is, get to know them. Okay. Don't go and hire someone that you don't know, as in go and try to ascertain their values and principles. So this is another beautiful thing that I learned in another book a while ago. It's about decision making. It's a hard decisions to make sometimes. You got several mentors to pick from. But my best advice to the listeners is this: look at yourself and look at your core values and principles as a person. And let's say pick up 5. Pick up 5 core values and principles as a person. And whoever has those 5, values and principles as a mentor, go and approach them. Because the chances are that you're going to succeed. The chances are that you're going to gel more or less instantly with that person and work towards your goals. But that is key. And I think people will say, why did you pay 25 grand when you had nothing? I actually put this in credit cards at the time. It was the 18 months credit card. I had one with Barclays and I had one with American Express when I paid for my mentorship. But I picked those mentors right. I hand them down. I've got all the information that I wanted, and I got all my money back, plus all their hacks, plus all their experience, that they have accumulated throughout the years. So no brainer to just, hire someone that's ahead of you to get you where you want to be faster.
I think in many people, the challenge is that we're not necessarily educated that this is the way to, there is that phrase, to collapse the time frames, to go faster, really. And we have limited amount of time. You said earlier, it's non-renewable, it's our most valuable resource or asset. But once it's gone away. So if you want to make the most of it and achieve the most you can possibly you have really to learn and allow yourself to be guided by someone or some people who have been there, have done it at a high level, and they can really show you how to do it yourself whilst avoiding all the traps or the obstacles and
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And especially something that property that says thousands of, sometimes millions of pounds of risk. You gotta be sure that person, have taken those risks previously, or they know how to manage or mitigate them. That is the trick, especially in property. People just go and buy houses willy-nilly without informing, without knowing where to buy, without knowing what the best brokers are there. I think the other thing that mentors bring to the table there is, who do you know who? Okay. At the end of the day, property development is about like being an orchestra director. You're directing all you people at a specific time, and that person needs to be the right for that job. Because if that person is late, your project goes, delayed, and then you have, what I mean. So this is the other advantage, that they give you the power team, the mentors, or what we do ourselves, is to them and say, look, these guys we used before, they know what they're doing. Saves you time, doesn't it? And money, obviously, at the same time.
Jay, what does success mean to you?
That's a really good question, Aggie.
It's a very important question, and many people talk about success and they confuse it with how much money you have, and for me that's completely not it at all. But tell me, what does it mean for you?
That's a really good question. I think personally, success for me is creating a life that you can't wait to wake up to.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And I have lived that life now. I'm so every single day I kind of pinch myself. And the thing is, whether it's a Monday, whether it is a Sunday, whatever it is a life that you can't wait to wake up to. That's for me. And if you're not living that life, for me, it's meaningless. So I strongly, like, for people that I know, doing or listening to me right now, that are in that ladder, corporate ladder, that wants to do this sort of stuff, wants to buy some time, because at the end of the day, that is all what it's all about. To be able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, and live a life for fulfillment. Then you cannot really wait to wake up to. Give this a go. Why not? You have nothing to lose. So yeah, so I'm lucky enough now, Aggie, that I'm able to, wake up every day and enjoy with passion and with obsession for what I do. Every single day is different nowadays. There's so many things like been thrown at us recently, let alone coronavirus. It's always in property development. There's always something new to handle. Even is incredible, but it's great. I enjoy thoroughly, and I obviously have the time now to spend with my family more. My little ones, take them to school every day, which is a blessing. I wasn't able to do that previously. And having the opportunity to have breakfast with them, take them, walking them to school, have a little chat there, have a cuddle there every single day. It's just, the best thing ever for me. So that's
a wonderful answer that you gave me there. I love it. Creating a life you can't wait to wake up to. That's fantastic. Jay, it's a fascinating conversation. I want to ask you some quick fire questions as well, to start, wrapping things up. The first one is, what does personal development mean to you?
Personal development. I always think that you need to work harder in yourself than in any job. Okay. And going back to what I'm saying to you, for me, it's self-reflection always about self-development. You gotta constantly orbit around this too. When the time you wait, the time you stop, I think that's the time you stop living. So personal development is something that you cannot really stop to be actually happy, to be actually fulfilled. There's this thing about being conscious about what you know, but they're even more conscious about what you don't know, and being hungry for it. So I'm constantly learning. My target is 60 books a year. I usually don't meet that target. Last year was about 37. This year I'm already about my 38th book. But I'm absolutely fascinated by learning. Learning new skill. Listening to someone else's perspective is so important. It sometimes, helps me. Helps my mentees, help the people that I train. And you can't, if you stop self-development, I think you cannot stop living, Aggie. That's the best summary for it, I think.
Yeah, well, once you stop growing, you start dying. I think it was Einstein who said that.
That's right.
Jay, if you could go back in time and meet your 18-year-old self, what's the one piece of advice you would give him?
Okay, 18-year-old. Oh my God. Okay, so God, if I go back when I was 18, I think I wasn't reading enough then. So I go back and tell him off, and I say, go and get a target of at least 60 books a year, because this is the thing, just reading 10 pages a day, is 300 pages a month. Is one book in a month, times 12 is 12 books a year. And it's an easy target. So I think I go back and say, read more, probably learn more languages as well. I kind of 2.5. I speak Italian a little bit as well, but I need to go back into it. I'll say Yeah, but I mean, I'm quite fortunate with my family, but spend building, building relationships. And for me, life is about three things, right? It's obviously pushing death as much as you can, be living healthy, and and so on and so forth, eating healthy. But then it's also building meaningful relationships and having or doing something meaningful work.
Yeah.
So I think building meaningful relationships, I'll go back to those three things at that young age, and say, look, focusing on those three things, and always remember that, and keep constant reminders of that sort of stuff.
Sure.
So yeah, I think it's probably why, but it's a really good question. Really good question.
I got another one for you. If you had a magic wand and you could wave it and change something in the world as the world is today, what would you change?
Oh my God. I was looking at the David Attenborough documentary the other day. It was absolutely fascinated by the way that he put it. We have destroyed our planet, haven't we? Pretty much. We only have 35% forest, and it's sad just to see that. I think I will probably go back and convince everyone that we should just care more about the planet. Start doing more, focusing more on renewable energy, and also I think educating is key. I think the only leveling playing ground is education. So having so many things change, schools. Although my kids luckily go to what I say is a good school in terms. I mean, I have really high standards, and I couldn't find any really good schools to send them to, but this one is the closest. Focusing more than data, focusing in more the important stuff, critical thinking, cooperation, communication, and the ability to change, to adapt. Yes. So I think those things would be, for me, education and going back to our roots, and then just going back to thinking about our planet more, care about my planet more. So we can get, we can reverse it back. He was saying in the documentary, if we got back, we can, thinking on how we live, we can hopefully get the forest back. But it's a challenge, isn't it? It's a constant challenge.
Thank you. Jay, emerging from this conversation we've had so far, if you were to give to the listener one actionable item, one action to take as a result of this we've discussed, which one thing you would say?
Action as in one piece of advice to the listeners?
Yes, but advice in order to take a specific action, not just theoretically.
Okay, so I think my view is a real success come when the sun goes down, or when there's no update yet. Okay, so one piece of advice is sleep faster. Okay, and just go full on and work on that dream. Okay, I didn't have to wake up at 4 o'clock to write this book, but I choose to, so sometimes you gotta work harder. You gotta sleep faster for that dream. So don't go and make it happen. You're the only one that can actually change your life. So my piece of advice is just go full on for it. And if you have to sleep faster, if you have to sleep fewer hours, just go for it regardless. You won't regret it.
Amazing. That's a great piece of advice. Jay, do you want to share a big breakthrough or a big aha moment you had recently?
Big aha moment I had really recently. Let me just think. Well, it was, there's a lot of aha moments about the book. I mean, I've been telling you recently, about how can I go and just deliver this to us, or hand it over to as many people as possible. hopefully the aha moment that I had was when my mentor said to me, you know, what about PDF, interactive PDF? So hopefully the interactive book would be something that attract many souls to read it. And hopefully, well, obviously every writer wants to see the book in a lot of hands and applied. So my vision then was, you know, that aha moment is like, if I do this, at least, you know, it's quite contemporary. It's quite, you know, now it's quite, you know, it would be at a good attraction for the reader. So hopefully that aha moment that I had a while ago, having a book that is like interactive would help them. So yeah, so that's
Sure.
one reason aha moment that I had. So fingers crossed that will work.
Do you want to also share with us a mistake that you recently made, that so we can avoid making the same mistake?
Right. Okay. Let me just think. Yes. In what sense? Is the project specific or anything?
Whatever you feel like you would like to share, and maybe people can benefit by the, you know, the knowledge that
Sure.
that going through the mistake gave you.
Okay, so yeah, so probably is going to be property related. I think is probably good, and it's going to be applicable to anything else. So we started a project about 2 years ago, and I have a set criteria. Okay, so when I appoint a member of the power team, I have a you know, a sort of 10, let's say, attributes that I check before I go and appoint someone to a specific job. And it's kind of set criteria. It has helped me. You know, I usually meet that person as well before I appoint them, so I know exactly who you know, who are delegating, let's say, the work to, because it's important. But then, so we decided to go for an architect that, in my view, was not the man for the job. But I went, and someone else kind of convinced me to just go for this person, and I kind of listened. But he basically, in the end, it was a big mistake. So the person that we appointed for this project had not the right experience, had the right attitude, you know, had all the will and you know, and the energy for it, but it didn't have the right experience, the right relevant experience for the job, and then we end up losing time and money with this person. So I think is key to have, and then not deviate from that set criteria. If I had listened to what I had already planned, if I listened to my gut, if I listened to, you know, my set criteria, then I wouldn't have made that mistake. So I think the lesson learned is there is like, look, if you had a set criteria, you got to be a machine sometimes, and you know, and don't deviate from it, because could be costly mistakes later on. Luckily, you know, we were able to appoint someone else to cover, and you know, we didn't, you know, wasted as much time, but it couldn't be catastrophic for the project.
I get it. Yeah. Set standards and not compromise the standards.
Not compromise on it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Jay, do you want to share how can people connect with you and find out more about what you do and the Assets for Life, the education company, and so on?
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for the opportunity, Aggie. So yeah, for people that wants to reach me, I do Instagram. I do follow. You know, you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is JJAY Munoz MUNOZ That's my Instagram. Then they can also follow us in Facebook. I have a page in Facebook. It's J space Munoz MUNOZ. I've got 2 profiles. One is personal, one is public profile that I usually post, and everything that I post in Instagram gets posted into my public profile. We have a website. It's called www.assetsforlife.co.uk. So we have a lot of really invaluable information there for people that wants to get into property. We do a YouTube channel as well, Assets for Life YouTube channel. We share a lot of our pains and our gains in the YouTube channel. And then I'm going to release a book on the 17th of November as well called Property Metamorphosis. So keep an eye out for that and give us any feedback. I do have also another tool that your listeners might benefit from. It's called My AFA Journey, which is a diary, which is a kind of a diary that I designed a couple of years ago. That was my first publication because at the time I needed to manage my time better than I was doing. So I got one here. So it's My AFA Journey. That is in Amazon as well. If they can reach it, it's a really powerful tool to help you managing your time and you daily tasks and stuff. So they can reach me that, and happy to help you or being able to help you with your journeys at any given point. I love property, absolutely obsessed with it, and I'm sure if you can choose to follow us and work with us, you get where you want to be. We help you where you want to be.
Thank you. Jay, there is one last question I want to ask you. We talked about so many different things, but is there anything else that you were hoping I would ask you today and I completely missed it?
No, Aggie, you were a great interviewer. Absolutely loved everything we chatted about. I think we could go forever, can't we? So I look forward to maybe having another chat after I release the book, and then happy to come back. And I really enjoy our conversation. And hopefully you listeners will benefit from it. But no, I think we covered pretty much.
Very much, yeah.
Pretty much what we wanted. And then, no at this moment, but hopefully next time we can meet up and then help each other.
Thank you. Jay, I want to really thank you very much for your time, for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us today. All the best with your company and the book, of course, which is very soon now. Any parting words?
No, I must say, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thanks ever so much for giving me the opportunity to share my message with your audience. For you for being a legend as well, for sharing your wisdom, Aggie. We appreciate what you do. Personal development is mega important. So I'm grateful for you today to giving me this opportunity, and I can't wait to have this conversation again in a few years. If you think that it was worth it for your listeners, I'm happy to come back and see you again.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jay. Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Please take a moment to subscribe and review Personal Development Mastery on Apple Podcasts, and also share this podcast with someone who you think will benefit from it. If you want to gain access to exclusive content while supporting this podcast, then become my patron. The link is in the show notes, or you can type bit.ly/pdmpad. If you want to know more about what I do and how I can help you, or if you have any questions, join my Facebook group Personal Development Mastery. Again, the link is in the show notes, or you can simply type bit.ly/pdmgroup. And until next time, stand out, don't fit in.